Welcome to Storytime with the UnlikelyGenshinGamer, where I bring the wonderful stories of the artifact and weapon histories of Teyvat to life through narration. The scattered accounts from various artifacts and weapons have been collected to form the most comprehensive retelling. Today's story hails from Mondstadt's past and tells the story of Grand Master Arundolyn and his best friend, Rostam The Wolf Knight. The traditional art of Favonius bladework was originated by the childhood friend and spiritual counterpart of Arundolyn, the Lion of Light, whose name was Rostam The Wolf Knight. Legend says he could chop each drop of rain out of the sky, and that the wind from his sword dance could split the rose and extinguish the torch. In this lies the essence of Favonius bladework: light, swift, and precise in the defense of Mondstadt. The standard Favonius longsword or greatsword are wielded by the Knights of Favonius. They are usually issued after the approval of both the Master of the Order and the Church. The craftsmen in Mondstadt have achieved some results in elemental affinity by studying Mondstadt's anemo. The light and agile sword is not only an honor bestowed upon a Knight of Favonius, but also the fruit of the hard work and skills of the Guardians of Mondstadt. It can channel elemental power with ease. Its bearer could do well to remember that its sharp blade is intended for defending, not attacking. Destruction is but a means to an end, the end being to defend that which must be defended. At the age of 27, Rostam received the title of Wolf Pup. Knights of Favonius tradition dictated that the titles of Lion and Wolf were reserved for those of great leadership potential. Such individuals would one day assume the position of Grand Master, devoting themselves to the leadership of a multitude of knights and the safeguarding of Mondstadt. But though he fulfilled his duties faithfully and devoted himself to Mondstadt, Rostam would not live to see that day. Since Rostam introduced the bladework style, no other practitioner has ever matched his legendary ability. But his fervor, along with his will to protect Mondstadt, has stayed with the knights throughout the generations. Now, only a single-handed form of Rostam the Wolf Pup's Favonius bladework survives today. The other form has been lost to history, that of Arundolyn, the Lion of Light, who could wield both a longsword and greatsword together in battle. Because of the great strength needed, only those gifted with extraordinary strength could attempt this form. Thus, it eventually died out. Close companions growing up, Arundolyn was from a long line of knights, while Rostam was born to a peasant family. Their childhood friendship was forged from a shared dream of heroism. As young men, they became fellow knights. As mature adults, one became Grand Master and the other his assistant. Grand Master Arundolyn was no vision bearer. His formidable strength came from a mixture of natural gifts and intense training. The Grand Master's strength was his pride, and the Grand Master was the pride of the knights. Nay, the pride of all in Mondstadt. After Rostam met his fate, Arundolyn never displayed his strength again, for no longer was it a source of glory to challenge ferocious monsters. A simple flower brooch that is a keepsake from someone's first adventure. A medal of the brave. The little hero slipped out of doors by night and with his friend rushed headlong into Wolves' Forest. With his slingshot, he chased boars, and with sturdy branches, he would battle imaginary monsters. Following the shining Seelie deep into the woods, he discovered a treasure that had laid buried for 1,000 years. The treasure was a small yellow flower. When the tired hero returned to his childhood bedroom and flipped through the proof of his first adventures, he discovered to his surprise that the long-hidden flower had yet to wilt. Yet in this it was alone, for everything else had changed with the passing of years. a shimmering feather from a songbird that brings a nudge of courage to its wearer. The prospect of the brave. To comfort his crybaby of a companion, the young hero gave his friend a bird's feather. This was proof of their shared adventure, of the treasure they found together, and was meant to embolden his comrade. Much later, one of them was named a lion and became a crownless king at the head of many knights. The other became a wolf, supporting his friend from the shadows and running affairs of state. In those turbulent times, the two defended their home and each other like sword and dagger. But this was a story from long ago. So many were lost during the cataclysm. A dated miniature hourglass that serves no practical purpose. It seems as elusive as time itself. The fortitude of the brave. When the black curses poured forth and the roots of disaster infested the earth, the knights, on expedition in a foreign land, would face the horror head-on, their formations steely as the northern glaciers. The steel of their great swords flashed brightly, and the dark ichor fell like poisoned rain. At last, the hero returned home, but this time without his old friend. So much had changed, save for the hourglass that childhood companion had gifted him. A crude wooden vessel filled only with memories. The outset of the brave. The young hero's first battle ended, and for the first time he tasted the sweet wine of victory. That day, deep of the vine he drank together with his closest friend, supportive, joyful, and blissfully ignorant. Many years later, when the cataclysm came, he led the knights to fight for his homeland. On the eve of battle, he advised his childhood friend and longtime deputy to come drink with him. "If you do not return, I will not mourn you. Nay, I will toast you and drink in your honor, just as we do today." A rough and ready laurel wreath that seems as precious as a king's golden crown. The crown of the brave. The little hero entered the deep, mysterious forest, and henceforth walked the path of resistance. His best playmate played the role of the champion knight of the aristocracy. "Like a lion I stride the battlefield, like she did 1,000 years before. Songs I will inspire with my sword, to give to generations to come." Their toy greatswords and tree branches clashed in their fierce duel, till at last the hero won the day and seized the aristocrats' crowns from their heads. Many years later, this wreath of flowers, though crudely made, would seem more precious still than the power a master of knights held. The defender's will. An iris that was cherished by the guardian. Unfortunately, the chance never came for it to be given to whom the guardian loved. The guardian's flower. Only that maiden's clear voice could cause the guardian's brow to come unbound. Their time together was short. At last, the knight's blood would run dry, as would her tears and her songs. A feather-shaped brooch that symbolizes someone's yearning to defend others like a shield. The guardian's sigil. The shield crest engraved upon this quill glitters in the pale moonlight. Long ago, this light would strike fear into the hearts of evildoers and thieves. The guardian had a very precious knightly title, but at night he would disguise his crest and face beneath a mantle. Thus he could shake off his restraints and do that which needed to be done, yet could not be done by an upright knight in good standing. A small time-keeping gadget. On moonless nights, it was the only way its former owner could know the time. The guardian's clock. The ticking of the clock's hands, the candlelight, and the reams of case notes. the shadows by moonlight, the blade and black mantle. These were the constant companions of the lonesome guardian. But no matter how far he went, there was never enough time. His superior, carefree and proud, often laughed at his curtness, his unsmiling face, his aversion to fun. But the guardian was not one to look back on the past, only to the present and future. Only by reaving every last trace of evil, no matter the means, could he ensure that this land and his friend and loved superior could have a future without fear. Only when he gazed on that maiden in the square could he think about things he had no time for. Only then could he think about his own future. A metal vessel that can be filled with a drink to dispel the loneliness of the long watch. The Guardian's vessel. An exceedingly ordinary old wine canteen. If one had to point out something special about it, it would be that it never once contained a drop of alcohol. Come on, you have to try a little wine sometime, the Guardian's longtime friend and superior joked. Quit knitting those eyebrows together. Have a little wine and song. I mean, that's how we have the courage to face tomorrow. A fabric band dyed indigo by the darkness of night can also double as a bandage in the event of an emergency. The Guardian's band. Always have a backup plan. He wore this headband to remind himself of that axiom. In an emergency, it could also serve as a tourniquet. By this creed, he taught his swordsmanship to the knights under his friend's command. By this credo, he also mentored a white knight who loved justice above all else. In its name, he nipped many seedlings that might have blossomed into evil in the bud. As long as he was sufficiently prepared, even if one day he should be unable to defend this land, or protect his friend, or that maiden who loved to sing. An elegy for the end. The west wind bears wine's fragrance away. The mountain wind brings glad tidings new. The breeze from afar tugs at my heart. It sings of my longing for you. Long ago, there was a knight who was ever dour of countenance. Only a certain song could ever cause his brow to unfurl, and only a certain girl who sang that song in the square could cause him to forget the great burden of his duty for a time. But at last, calamity came upon this land. The songs that had once flown joyfully in the wind were drowned by a venomous dragon. In the wake of its earth-shaking footsteps, even the cries and the flames were ripped asunder. The animal Archon heard their agony, though he had refused to rule. But to protect his old friend's dream and defend the wind-kissed fields of green, he woke from his long slumber anew, and with the sky dragon in battle he flew. The knight and his knights also fought for their land. When the venomous dragon fell to ruin on the ice-sealed peak, the blue sky dragon fell asleep in the ancient tower. But the knight was in the valley, spent of his life's blood. And as he fell, he could only think thus: she is abroad studying, so she should be well. But, how I wish to hear her sing again. At least Arundolyn and Roland are all right. When she returns, this calamity should have blown over. The songs in praise of the Archon and tunes that recorded the battle of the two dragons were many, but all slowly became lost. The song the girl loved to sing, too, changed upon her return. The dandelions carry in the summer wind. Autumn brings the fragrance of grain. But no wind in any season on earth shall have you gaze upon me again. and after her voice and her tears had run dry, the girl swore to use her life's flame to cleanse the world's crookedness.